Ladies and gentlemen, champions of tomorrow, I want to talk to you about a secret that nobody is teaching, a cheat code so powerful it can rocket launch your life faster than ambition, talent, or even intelligence alone. And that secret is this: desexualizing your brain is the ultimate cheat code to success. In a world addicted to instant gratification, cheap dopamine, and endless distractions, your mind, your most powerful weapon, is being hijacked by cravings that rob you of your time, your energy, your vision. You think it's harmless? You think it's natural? No. It's engineered. It's designed to keep you stuck, to keep you chasing shadows while your destiny withers away. In the journey towards success, there is no asset more valuable than focus. Focus is what allows a human being to turn dreams into reality, to persist through hardships, to transform ideas into empires. Yet in today's world, our focus is under constant attack. And one of the most powerful and underestimated enemies of focus is the unchecked sexualization of the mind. When your brain is constantly saturated with sexual thoughts, imagery, and fantasies, it becomes fragmented. The mind, instead of operating like a precision-guided missile, becomes like a broken compass spinning wildly without a clear direction. Every moment spent entertaining lustful distractions is a moment stolen from your life's mission. It's not just about wasting time, it's about draining the very energy you need to win. Every day, millions of people unknowingly bleed out their mental strength by feeding their minds with constant sexual stimulation, whether through social media, television, advertising, or imagination. They don't realize that their dreams are damned invalid. That's not because they lack talent or intelligence, but because they lack a mind fully engaged in their goals. When you choose to desexualize your brain, you start reclaiming the extraordinary power that comes from full mental presence. You stop letting your thoughts drift into fantasy, and you anchor them in reality, in your craft, your business, your body, your skills. Without the pull of constant sexual imagery clouding your thinking, you gain back enormous amounts of brain power that brings to master new skill, devise strategies, build connections, and produce results that others simply cannot match. You're no longer operating with a drained battery, you're fully charged and ready to move mountains. Most people underestimate how much sexual distraction fragments their concentration. They think it's just a harmless thought here and there, or a few minutes scrolling through provocative images. But the brain works by association. When you constantly trigger sexual pathways in your mind, you weaken your ability to concentrate for long periods. Your brain begins to crave more quick hits of dopamine, and it becomes restless when you try to do deep work. Tasks that require patience, like studying, building a business, training your body, writing a book, or planning your future, become almost unbearable. Success requires the exact opposite. It requires the ability to lock onto a target for hours, days, months, even years, without getting pulled off course. Imagine how much more you could achieve if you had complete command over your attention. Imagine sitting down to work and falling into a flow state within minutes, staying locked in for hours, producing at a level that outpaces 95% of your competition. That is the superpower that comes from a desexualized mind. Your energy is not scattered, it is harnessed. Your imagination is not wasted on empty fantasy. It is used to solve problems, to innovate, to create value. Your time is no longer stolen by compulsive distractions. It is invested in activities that move you closer to your destiny. When you desexualize your brain, you gain the mental stamina to resist other distractions as well. The discipline you build by mastering your sexual impulses spills over into every area of your life. You stop being a slave to cravings of any kind. You become immune to the manipulative forces trying to sell you cheap entertainment, junk food, meaningless status symbols, and superficial validation. You no longer need to constantly seek pleasure because you are fueled by purpose. Your vision becomes your new source of dopamine. Progress becomes your addiction. Mastery becomes your high. This doesn't mean you suppress your humanity or deny your biological nature. It means you take conscious control over your most primal instincts and decide where to direct your life energy. Sexual energy, when not mindlessly indulged, can be sublimated, transformed into relentless drive, powerful charisma, deep creativity, and an unbreakable spirit. This is what the ancient sages, warriors, and world changers understood intuitively, that true greatness demands self-mastery, not self-indulgence. Desexualizing your brain is not about living a dry, joyless life. It's about stepping into a level of mental clarity and personal power that most people will never taste. It's about exchanging the cheap thrills of distraction for the lasting satisfaction of achievement. It's about trading short-lived pleasure for timeless impact. Every second you regain from wasted distraction is a second invested in your future empire. Every moment you reclaim from scattered thinking is a step closer to life you were born to create. When you choose focus over fantasy, purpose over pleasure, vision over urges, you are not just surviving in this world, you are dominating it. The decision to desexualize your brain is the decision to take your life seriously. It's the decision to rise above the noise, the distractions, and the mediocrity, and to become unstoppable. And those who are unstoppable, those who are truly locked in, are the ones who change the world. Willpower is the foundation of all achievement. It is the bridge between your goals and your reality. Without it, even the brightest vision fades into dust. Without it, dreams rot in the mind, never seeing the light of day. And yet, willpower is not some mysterious trait that only a few are born with. It is a force that can be cultivated, trained, and taught. One of the most powerful and overlooked ways to strengthen willpower is by desexualizing the brain. Every time you feel an impulse and resist it, you forge a new layer of strength inside yourself. You prove to your subconscious mind that you are in control. Resisting sexual distractions in particular is like lifting the heaviest weights in the gym of self-mastery. It is one of the most primal and deeply ingrained urges humans in nature. You can dominate that. You can dominate anything. When you desexualize your brain, you build the muscle of discipline at a deeper level than most people ever experience. You train yourself to say no to what feels good in the moment for the sake of something far greater in the future. That single ability to delay gratification, to postpone pleasure, is what separates the successful from the unsuccessful, the legends from the forgotten. Every moment you resist diving into sexual distractions, you are doing far more than just maintaining purity of thought. You are practicing the same skill that will allow you to stay up late studying when everyone else is partying. You are building the same inner toughness that will get you out of bed early to chase your dreams while the world sleeps. You are forging the same resilience that will push you through rejection, failure, and hardship without quitting. Discipline does not grow in comfortable circumstances. It is born through resistance. And sexual impulses offer one of the strongest forms of resistance you will face daily. Choosing to override those impulses is not about suppression or denial. It is about redirection and elevation. It is about teaching your mind that it does not have to obey every signal your body sends. It is about ascending from being an animal driven by instincts to being a conscious. The world is full of talented people who never go anywhere. Why? Because they lack discipline. Talent without discipline is like a car without gas, full of potential, but incapable of movement. The man or woman who can control their impulses, who can stay focused while others are distracted, who can stay committed while others chase pleasure, that person becomes unstoppable. By desexualizing your brain, you simplify your inner world. You remove one of the greatest sources of temptation and mental noise. With fewer internal battles to fight, your willpower no longer gets drained by constant internal conflict. Instead, it gets channeled into productive action. You gain the ability to sit down and work for long hours without losing focus. You gain the patience to stick to a long-term vision without being derailed by short-term temptations. Success is not a random accident. It is the predictable result of small, disciplined diet. And that consistency is impossible without willpower. If your mind is constantly hijacked by cravings, if your energy is constantly leaking toward distraction, you will never be able to sustain the level of commitment required to achieve greatness. When you master your sexual energy, you naturally begin mastering other areas of your life. Your diet improves because you are no longer driven by urges alone. Your workouts become more intense because you can push through discomfort. Your relationships become deeper because you are not seeking constant validation. Your business will creative projects explode in growth because you can sit with the boring, difficult, and tedious tasks without running away. Discipline creates freedom. The paradox is that by saying no to momentary pleasures, you gain access to lasting satisfaction. You build a life that does not require escape because it is already fulfilling. You construct a reality where you are not at the mercy of circumstances because you have mastered yourself. There will be moments when the temptation feels overwhelming, moments when giving in seems easier. But those moments are exactly when growth happens. Each time you endure, you add another brick to the fortress of your will. You become harder to shake, harder to seduce, harder to break, and eventually you reach a point where what once felt like a sacrifice now feels like a superpower. In a world addicted to easy pleasure, the disciplined man or woman becomes a rare, unstoppable force. When you desexualize your brain, you tap into a deeper reservoir of willpower that most will never experience. You gain the ability to suffer now so you can live differently later. You separate yourself from the masses who are enslaved by their impulses. You become the architect of your own destiny. True success belongs to those who can govern themselves. Desexualizing your brain is one of the highest forms of self-governance. It is the sharpening of the inner sword that will cut through every obstacle in your path. It is the ultimate training ground for willpower. And it is the key to unlocking a life beyond anything you ever thought possible. There is a hidden engine inside every human being, a tremendous source of raw energy, passion, and drive. It is sexual energy. Left uncontrolled, it can be chaotic and destructive. But when harnessed, refined, and redirected, it becomes one of the most potent forces for creation, innovation, and greatness. To transmute sexual desire into creative powers, to access a well of motivation so deep that very few baby ever truly experience it. Desire is not evil. It is simply energy. The problem arises when energy is misused or squandered on empty pleasure. The same fire that can burn down a house can also fuel a machine that powers a city. The question is not whether you have desire. The question is whether you are strong enough to command it. Sexual desire, when left unmanaged, leads to cycles of craving, distraction, and regret. But when you master that fire and channel it into your work, your craft, your mission, it transforms into unstoppable creative power. Throughout history, the men and women who changed the world were not necessarily those with the least passion, but those who learned how to direct their passions towards something greater than themselves. They took the energy that could have been lost in fleeting indulgence and turned it into books, inventions, philosophies, art, movements, and empires. They understood that the body's urge for creation could extend beyond reproduction. It could fuel the creation of new realities. When you feel that surge of desire, that restless energy, that longing for something more, realize that you are being handed a gift. Most people misunderstand that signal. They immediately seek a release, a gratification, a way to quiet the urge. But if you pause, if you resist the easy path, you can take that same energy and pour it into action. The feeling of sexual desire is, in its essence, a call for creation. It is the body and mind seeking to express life. You can honor that call not by wasting it, but by elevating it. Imagine sitting down to work on your dream while the raw fire of desire still burns inside you, but instead of dissipating it, you focus it into your hands, into your thoughts, into your vision. You type faster. You think clearer. You move with urgency and power. You create not just from the intellect, but from the primal core of your being. Your art, your business, your body of work becomes infused with a vibrancy that others can feel but cannot quite explain. That is the power of transmutation. Greatness is not born from comfort. It is born from the intelligent redirection of powerful emotions. When you feel lust, you are standing at a crossroads. One road leads to a temporary pleasure that will leave you weaker afterward. The other road leads to greater strength, deeper creativity, and extraordinary output, but it requires discipline, it requires vision, and it requires patience. Every time you choose to transmute rather than indulge, you are sculpting a masterpiece out of your own life. You are building an internal furnace where raw energy is transformed into refined purpose. Over time, this becomes second nature. Instead of feeling trapped by your desires, you begin to look forward to them. because you know they fuel your creativity and ambition. Some of the most profound artistic works, some of the greatest technological innovations, and some of the most daring acts of leadership were driven by individuals who refused to waste their energy on meaningless gratification. Instead, they stayed hungry. They stayed focused. They turned their hunger into masterpieces. They allowed the fire to push them to new heights rather than consume them. You do not need to kill your passions. You need to upgrade them. You need to reframe desire itself as sacred fuel for the mission you were born to fulfill. You must stop seeing your urges as enemies and start seeing them as invitations to create something meaningful, something eternal. The modern world bombards you with ways to waste your creative energy. Every advertisement, every clickbait headline, every carefully engineered image tries to lure your attention away from building and toward consuming. But you are called to something higher. You are called to resist that tide, to become a creator in a world of consumers. Your dreams demand energy. Your goals demand sacrifice. Your future demands that keep the most powerful energies inside you and aim them like a weapon toward the life you were meant to live. The beautiful thing is this: the more you transmute your desires, the more powerful they become. Energy not wasted compounds over time. Focus not broken grows sharper. Momentum not lost multiplies. By learning to transmute your sexual energy into creativity, you unlock a limitless source of motivation that will separate you from the masses. While others burn out chasing temporary thrills, you will be building a life that sets your soul on fire. You will become the author of a story so magnificent that even your struggles will seem small compared to the masterpiece you are creating. In a world that constantly pulls at your emotions, emotional stability is one of the greatest advantages you can possess. Without it, life feels like a constant storm, tossing you from one extreme to another, reacting to every small trigger and losing precious time and energy in the chaos. When you desexualize your brain, you take a powerful step towards stabilizing your emotional world. You free yourself from one of the strongest forces that keeps people trapped in cycles of emotional highs and lows. Unchecked sexual thoughts and desires constantly agitate the mind. They create longing, restlessness, comparison, jealousy, and frustration. They keep you chasing illusions, believing that happiness or fulfillment is just one more experience, one more image, one more indulgence away. This endless chase wears down your emotional core. It leaves you empty, anxious, and discontented because the pleasure it promises is never lasting. No matter how much you chase, the satisfaction fades and the cycle begins again. By desexualizing your brain, you remove a huge source of emotional turbulence. You stop letting yourself be ruled by fleeting feelings and cravings. You no longer allow outside forces, advertising, social media, entertainment to dictate how you feel at every moment. Instead, you cultivate a steadiness, a calmness, a centeredness that becomes unshakable. Your emotions stop swinging wildly based on what you see or experience. You begin to live from the inside out, not the outside in. Inner peace is not the absence of desires, but the mastery of them. It is the ability to feel an urge, acknowledge it, and decide what to do with it, rather than being a slave to it. But you are no longer thrown around by your impulses. You become a fortress. You respond instead of react. You think instead of being led blindly by emotions. You choose your actions based on values and vision, not passing moods. That is real strength. That is emotional maturity. Desexualizing your mind also frees up emotional bandwidth to deal with real challenges. Instead of wasting emotional energy battling artificial cravings, you have the full strength of your emotional intelligence available for higher purposes like building relationships, leading others, solving problems, and staying focused under pressure. You are no longer emotionally exhausted by an internal war between your higher goals and your lower impulses. That inner conflict drains most people every single day without them even realizing it. Another hidden benefit of emotional stability is increased self-respect. Every time you resist temptation, stay true to your principles, you feel a quiet pride growing inside. You start to trust yourself. You start to walk taller, think clearer, and move with more certainty. People can sense this stability. They are drawn to it because it is so rare. In a world full of emotional volatility, A person who radiates calm confidence stands out naturally. They command respect without even speaking. They inspire trust without even trying. Inner peace does not mean you never feel desire or passion. It means you are no longer controlled by them. You can channel them when needed and put them aside when necessary. You gain the freedom to focus fully on your mission without being derailed by emotional noise. You become a warrior who fights battles that matter instead of losing yourself in trivial struggles against yourself. When your brain is free from constant sexual bombardment, it clears a path for deeper emotional clarity. You start noticing the beauty of the present moment more often. You feel gratitude for small things. You experience joy not because something external triggered it, but because it already exists within you. This deep well of inner peace becomes your secret weapon. It keeps you steady when others panic. It keeps you motivated when others burn out. It keeps you climbing when others give up. Desexualizing your brain isn't about rejecting emotion. It's about mastering it. It's about moving from being a servant to your feelings to being the master of your destiny. The reward for that mastery is a mind that is sharp, a heart that is strong, and a soul that is undisturbed by the chaos of the world. There is an undeniable aura that surrounds a person who has mastered their impulses. It's not something they have to announce or explain. It is felt. It is sensed the moment they walk into a room. That aura is magnetic charisma and deep-rooted confidence, the kind that cannot be faked or manufactured. When you desexualize your brain, you naturally begin to develop this rare and powerful presence. You stop chasing validation. You stop seeking approval. Instead, you radiate self-sufficiency, strength, and certainty, which draws others to you almost effortlessly. Most people in today's world unknowingly leak their personal power. Their need for attention, admiration, or superficial connection dilutes their presence. They are restless, always scanning for someone or something to fill the void inside. This unconscious desperation is repulsive at a deep level. It signals weakness, insecurity, and instability. But when you take back control of your mind, when you refuse to be ruled by lustful distractions, you patch those leaks. You become whole within yourself. You no longer look outward to complete you. You are already complete, and the world senses it. Confidence is not loud. It is quiet certainty. It is walking into any situation without needing to prove anything. It is knowing who you are and where you are going without looking around to see who approves. This kind of confidence grows when you discipline your mind and emotions, and when you know you can trust yourself to act with integrity and self-control no matter what temptations or challenges arise. Every time you resist an urge, every time you rise above a base craving, you lay another brick in the unshakable foundation of real confidence. Charisma at its core is the ability to influence others without force. It is the invisible pull you create simply by being fully aligned, fully focused, and fully alive. When your mind is no longer scattered by constant sexual distractions, your attention sharpens. You become more present with the people around you. You listen deeper. You speak with more weight. Your eye contact becomes stronger, your body language more grounded, your energy more electrifying. People cannot always articulate why they feel drawn to you, but they are. They are pulled toward your clarity, your centeredness, your rare sense of purpose. Desexualizing your brain also unlocks a natural authenticity that is increasingly rare. Most people wear masks. They project an image they think others want to see. But when you have mastered yourself, you have no need for masks. You are not chasing admiration through appearances or fake charm. You are simply being yourself, raw, real, and unfiltered. And authenticity is magnetic. In a world of fakeness, realness is a superpower. Another important effect is that when you are no longer driven by hidden cravings, you interact with people, especially the opposite sex, from a place of genuine connection, not neediness. You are not calculating, not trying to impress, not subconsciously seeking validation. You are free to see people as they truly are and to offer your presence without expectation. This makes you incredibly attractive. The paradox is that when you no longer seek to impress, you naturally impress. When you no longer need approval, you effortlessly earn respect. True confidence does not come from achieving external goals. It comes from overcoming internal battles. It is built when you conquer yourself, When you take dominion over your thoughts, your emotions, and your urges, you become a king or queen in your own right. You no longer bow to fleeting impulses. You no longer crumble under pressure. You stand firm because you know your power comes from within, not from anything external. The path of desexualizing your brain is not easy. It demands self-awareness, self-discipline, and relentless commitment. But the reward is a presence so powerful that it opens doors without you even knocking. People respect you before you even speak. Opportunities find you because your intensely broadcasts competence, integrity, and strength. You don't have to force anything. You don't have to beg for attention. You become the kind of person that others instinctively want to follow, learn from, and align with. Confidence and charisma are not things you do. They are things you become. They are the natural byproducts of inner mastery. And inner mastery begins the moment you stop allowing your lower impulses to rule your life. When you desexualize your mind, you reclaim your power. You become a force in the world, not a leaf tossed by every passing wind. You will notice the shift first in how you feel about yourself, a deep, quiet pride, an unshakable self-belief. Then the world around you will begin to notice. People will be drawn to your light. They will feel your strength, and they will wonder what it is you have that they do not. The answer will be simple. You have reclaimed yourself. You have built yourself from the inside out. You have done what few dare to do, and for that you will be unstoppable. Success is not an accident. It is the result of focused action, deep discipline, and the ability to sustain effort over long periods of time. Most people never reach the higher levels of success and fulfillment they dream of because they are constantly pulled away from their goals by distractions, impulses, and temporary pleasures. When you desexualize your brain, you remove one of the most powerful internal distractions there is. You clear the mental clutter, sharpen your focus, and open the path to extraordinary achievement. Every great dream demands sacrifice. Every major accomplishment requires the investment of immense energy, time, and focus. When your mind is trapped in cycles of lust, fantasy, and gratification, you are bleeding out the very energy you need to build the life you want. Every moment spent chasing pleasure is a moment stolen from your purpose. But when you reclaim that energy, when you discipline your desires and channel them into your mission, you unlock a level of intensity and persistence that few ever reach. Higher levels of success are not reached through bursts of motivation, but through sustained, disciplined effort. The person who wins is not always the most talented or the most connected. It is often the one who simply stayed focused the longest, who refused to be pulled off track, who kept building when others got distracted. Desexualizing your mind trains you for this long game. It strengthens your ability to endure discomfort, delay gratification, and stay locked in on your vision. Real fulfillment comes not from momentary highs, but from deep, meaningful accomplishment. It comes from knowing that you are living in alignment with your highest potential. It comes from the pride of building something real, something lasting, something that reflects the greatness inside you. When you are no longer a slave to fleeting desires, you are free to pursue this deeper fulfillment. You are free to create a life that satisfies your soul, not just your senses. As you rise higher, you will also notice a profound shift in the opportunities that come your way. Success is a magnet. When you are focused, disciplined, and powerful within yourself, you attract people, resources, and circumstances that align with your mission. The right mentors appear, the right doors are open, and the right ideas flow to you. It may seem like luck to the outside world, but you will know the truth. You created the conditions for success by mastering yourself. Another hidden key to unlocking higher success is the ability to think long-term. Lust by nature is short-term thinking. It is about immediate gratification. When you train your mind away from that, you develop the ability to plan years ahead, to delay rewards, to plant seeds today that will bear fruit in the future. This long-term mindset is one of the most powerful traits shared by the world's highest achievers. They are willing to endure boredom, repetition, and struggle now for the sake of something greater later. You can only do this when your mind is not constantly craving instant pleasures. The higher you climb, the more tempting it becomes to relax, to indulge, to let your guard down. But when you have truly desexualized your brain, you carry a deep inner discipline with you, no matter how much success you achieve. You do not become complacent because your satisfaction is not tied to external achievements alone. It is tied to the ongoing process of mastering yourself, growing and contributing to the world in a way that leaves a legacy. At the end of the day, success without fulfillment is failure. Many people gain wealth, fame, or status only to feel empty inside because they never disciplined their inner world. They climbed the wrong mountain. But when you walk the path of internal mastery, when you first do wind from lower desires and align it with your highest purpose, you climb the right mountain. You achieve not just outward success, but deep inner peace. You create a life that is both impressive to the world and deeply satisfying to your soul. The ultimate victory is not over others, but over yourself. Desexualizing your brain is not about suppression. It is about liberation. It is about freeing yourself to build, to create, to rise higher than you ever thought possible. It is about becoming the person you were always meant to be: powerful, focused, fulfilled, and unstoppable.